And over the last 10 years, we have also seen an increasing economic partnership between the two countries. And really being here when we celebrate 50 years of our partnership with China, as we celebrate 50 years of our independence, we are here really to see how we can set the foundation for another 50 years of even stronger collaboration at the political, as has been, but further strengthening especially the economic, so that we can see how we can synchronize our Vision 2030 with their dream of a new China. There is a lot of similarities, because 30 years ago, we were pretty much at the same level of development. Today you can see where they are. And I think there is a lot that we can share and learn from each other. There is a lot of investment opportunities, there's a lot of trade opportunities that exist. There is a lot of development cooperation where I believe we can benefit from our mutual exchange. So therefore, I look at it this way: if we are able to attract more Chinese investment into Kenya, and at the same time we are able to increase the amount of trade that we have with China through more sales of our tea, our coffee, pyrethrum, and other areas where Kenya is strong, I see this as being a relationship that is can mutually help drive the Kenyan economy to prosperity, but also benefit our Chinese partners in what we have been calling a win-win situation for both parties.
Much has been said about the agreements that you struck. Mm-hmm. What exactly did you strike?
We have struck a number of agreements. We have, one of the areas that has been critical to us is energy. As you know, for a long time, we have somehow been growing, but not at a pace that is able to meet the kind of demand that we have, or the requirement that we would have to become an industrial powerhouse. We have had about 1,600 megawatts of energy. We want to see how we can work with partners to boost that, at least within the short term, to 5,000 megawatts, because you cannot attract industry if you do not have energy available and at the right price. So that's one area where we struck some agreements on the geothermal, coal, and gas side, to see how we can work together to boost the amount of energy available in the Kenyan market. Another area, of course, is the railway line, where we have been talking for a very long time, all of us acknowledging the need to have an efficient railway system, because an efficient railway system not only helps us reduce the cost of doing business, but it also helps us open up the markets. This has been discussions that we have had for a long time. And with the kind of partnership and collaboration now that we have with some of our sister countries, Uganda, Rwanda, and others, we all feel that there is need to have an efficient railway line, because that will help us reduce the cost of doing business, improve efficiency, and at the same time open up our countries to new investment. So this is another area where we're very keen to see ourselves move forward, and that was another area where we signed some cooperation and collaboration agreements. We also signed agreements to support us in our efforts to conserve our wildlife, because again, that is a heritage that belongs to Kenya, but it is also common to all of mankind. Yeah? And again, we had very good discussions and deliberations in that particular area. We also discussed and focused our attention on security, the need to fight terrorism, the need to ensure that we deal with piracy and other menaces that are an interference to prosperity and trade. So those are other areas that we had good and solid discussions. On top of that, you know, we did discuss, they gave us some grants to support areas where we shall mutually agree, interest-free loans to support areas that we shall mutually agree. So overall, I think we have gone back with a hefty package that, if we focus ourselves, can really help us in the process of transforming our society and bringing prosperity to our people. If we can fast track, these are again not new to Kenyan society, because we've been talking about them again for a long time. But our problem has always been, we talk about them, but we're not driving to the next level of implementation. You know, we have talked about the special economic zone being developed in Mombasa, yeah, Dongo Kundu, and we have talked about it and talked about it. And this is the time to start to bring some of these projects to fruition. We have talked about the special economic zone that is going to build on technology at Konza, right? So again, here we wanted to share experiences with our Chinese, to seek investment also from our Chinese partners, who again have proved that these models can be successful, given the fact that they have implemented them in the past. So we want to learn from them. We want to see how we can fast track our own, but also attract their companies, as well as companies from elsewhere in the world, to invest in these zones, which helps us both create jobs for our people and propel the growth of our economy.
Security is one of your priorities.
Absolutely.
How did this trip address that?
Like I said, we shared a lot on that. We shared a lot on how China could support the AMISOM mission in Somalia. We shared on ways in which to improve city security, yeah, and border security as well. And these are areas where we laid the framework, and we did agree now that our officials would move rapidly to see how we can closer collaborate to improve and better equip our border security and our police, to see how they could help support the AMISOM mission, which is aimed at stabilizing Somalia while defeating terrorism, which is a threat not just to Kenya, but to the region and the world as a whole. So these are some areas where we agreed that we would have much closer collaboration with China going forward.
There was a criticism of your visit on the grounds that China is a big market for ivory. What's your comment?
The truth of the matter is that, yes, China is indeed a big market for ivory. But what I really appreciated about this trip is that we know again that this is a problem. And we were able to discuss frankly with the president of China. And he was able to accept that it is a problem. But the important thing is that, as he's saying it is a problem, we agreed we need now to move to the next level, to stop talking about it being a problem, and ask ourselves, what is it that we can do to resolve this problem? And they went a long way towards acknowledging that this is an issue of negative forces in Kenya, as much as there are negative forces in China encouraging this trade. But we agreed that as governments, we need to work together. And we signed agreements, and they, on top of it, gave us support to help us combat this particular vice, with the president of China himself recognizing and stating in our meeting that this heritage, yes, belongs to Kenya, but it is shared by the world, and all of us need to work together to ensure that we bring an end to this menace. So rather than being individuals who want to just talk and say, oh, this is happening, we have converted our discussion to a discussion where we will proactively engage and work together and support one another to defeat those who would seek to destroy our heritage. And I think that, to me, is a major milestone, because we're moving from talking about an issue to working with a government to resolve, an issue. And I think China needs to be given credit for that. Yeah? As a country that is willing to acknowledge a problem exists, but willing to work with you, yeah, to resolve it. So when you hear the criticism, sometimes I say, well, yeah, we can criticize. Yeah? The United States of America is the biggest market, for drugs in the world, just like Ivory maybe is here in China. As we now say that we are not going to deal with them. No, we just need to work together to fight the drug problem. We need to work together to fight the poaching problem, and to have practical ways forward as opposed to blaming and just talking about an issue. So I think we've made progress, and I believe that if we continue with that kind of collaboration that we have, we will be able to resolve this menace for the benefit of future generations.
Now, the Jubilee government is committed to food security. What did you do here to aid that cause?
Well, for one, we recognize China, with a population of 1.3 billion, has managed to feed its people with much less arable land than we have in Kenya. And part of my trip was to also see how we could work and collaborate in the area of agriculture, irrigation, to boost food security for Kenya. We managed to visit one of the top rice research institutes, where we managed to learn a lot, and also to establish an agreement where we would have close collaboration between that institute and our own agricultural research institutes to improve on rice varieties, to improve on yields, in order to reduce the costs, while at the same time improving on yields. And we recognize, for example, that in many of our areas, as a result of poor use of technology and new methods and poor varieties, we are producing in many areas about 25 bags per hectare, or 30 bags per hectare. And yet we saw varieties here that are able to produce up to 50, 60, and in some instances 100 bags, per hectare. Now, if we could improve our collaboration, this would not only help improve the yield for our farmers, it would help reduce the cost of rice in Kenya, and it would help us meet our food security objectives, because, as you know, we are still a net importer, of rice in Kenya. So this is another area where we had good talks, and I think we had good agreements on a way forward of how we can collaborate to enhance the use of technology in boosting food security in Kenya.
You must have seen a lot of commentary about how you snubbed the West and making your first state visit to China.
I've not snubbed anybody, and for me, I think I was given a mandate and a job by the people of Kenya to further enhance and to progress our socio-economic development. I'm here in China doing precisely just that. And I have no problem engaging also with our traditional partners, and I will engage them, right? As we go forward. But we must all understand that we do so in the spirit of reciprocity. We do so in the spirit of mutual benefit. We do so in the spirit of mutual respect. We do so in what I said earlier, on the basis of a win-win situation. That Kenya, as an independent sovereign nation, wishes to engage with the whole world on those principles, because all we seek is the prosperity of our people, the stability and security of our nation, and close cooperation with all who are willing to have the same values as we do.